thank you both for being here with me today. I'm sure that I wasn't the only one when I first saw the wonderful and amazing panelists, but the topics of leadership between a former Prime Minister Papandreou, and of course the awesome Julia, CEO of Eventbrite. I was like, how am I going to pull this together? And then, thank God for the internet. So I found a little bit of information that speaks to leadership in both of you, which is, I think, on the one hand, fairly unusual, but maybe pertinent to a lot of people out in the audience. So both of you have been leaders in your organizations or your countries with another family member. Julia with your husband Kevin, who you co-founded Eventbrite with, and of course George with your father. Would you each like to talk about what are the unique, wonderful benefits of working closely with a family member in leadership, and what is the biggest challenge? Julia?
Sure. Well, thank you for having us, and I've loved getting to know George over the last 24 hours. It's an honor to be here. And, you know, I founded Eventbrite with my then fiance, now husband, Kevin Hartz, and our third co-founder, Renaud Visage, who I like to refer to as the bravest man for co-founding a company with, you know, a couple. And 10 years later, I took over as CEO, and so we've been through this really interesting journey together. And I think what I've learned over the last 10 years is the great benefit of working with a family member is you have embedded trust. And I think for any great co-founder team, it's not unlike a relationship. It's certainly not just a transaction. So there's relationship development that happens through the course of this co-foundership. However, when you start with someone who you already have that embedded trust with, you sort of have this advantage. And so for Kevin and I, it worked based off intention and hard work and that great undeniable trust that we have for each other. And I think that is one of the greatest benefits. Obviously, there are challenges. And I think when you have the intention to make it work with a family member or a loved one, you really do work hard to get past the challenging times. So one of the things that we did from the very sort of beginning stages was we agreed to divide and conquer and never work on the same thing at the same time. So we avoided unnecessary conflict. And I actually think that's applicable to any co-founder team or any partnership. So we got to from point A to point B 10 times faster. But to be completely honest, the biggest challenge has been going through this transition of not working together. So our entire relationship, our marriage, our parenthood, we've been, you know, co-founders and working side by side. And now for the last few months, Kevin's been investing full time through Founders Fund, and I've been running the company. And so I think any sort of massive change like that then does create a great challenge. And so I would actually, it's not a trick answer, but I'd say that's the biggest challenge for us.
Thanks.
Well, I want to congratulate Julia because being in a partnership and at the same time working together is not easy. So you've been able to do that. Well, I didn't initially want to get into politics. I got involved for a number of reasons, and one was that there was, when you have a family that's been in politics, and my father and grandfather happened to be prime ministers, but that's sort of only one part of the story. My grandfather was exiled 6 times fighting for democracy. My father was exiled twice fighting for democracy. I was exiled with the family. So there was a real struggle. And when you get into, and so I became politicized because there was a big fight to build a democracy in Greece. And when you have that fight, you start sharing values. So working together is not really simply sharing power or positions. You have to respect the traditions that you have. That's on the one hand. Now, when we have 2 different generations, it's a bit different than partners. So on the one hand, the tradition was fighting for democracy, fighting for social justice, fighting for an open society. But on the other hand, as a younger generation, when I got into